I would like to introduce the Magnolia keynote speaker. Does Jan actually need an introduction? He has been developing content management and in knowledge management systems since 2000. He's been with Magnolia since 2007 and has really been a part of Magnolia's growth, starting as a developer, taking on head of support, opening and running the Czech office, taking a role as Chief Integration Officer, and now his role as Chief Technology Officer. Please join me in welcoming Jan Haderka.
Hi. Hello, thank you. It's great to be here again. It's really exciting. Yarif set the bar pretty high with his presentation, so fortunately for me it's not a competition because it would be really hard to beat. But I'm really happy to be here and be able to present what I will present to you. It's also great to see so many familiar faces in the audience. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for still using Magnolia, for being with us. Also seeing so many new faces. So again, thank you very much for considering your precious time worth of actually coming and participating in this event. I hope we can make it worth your time and you will stay with us and you will come again. And what we have here for the Dev Days 2018, the second keynote. Afterwards, there is a lot of lightning talks and the typical or the usual unconference program that we have. So be ready with your topics, be ready with what you want to tell people, with what you want to hear about, because we will be interested in hearing from you that as well. For the keynote itself, when I was thinking what to present to you, I thought this might be the ideal agenda. Since we have just one keynote by myself, I might give you some update on how we did throughout the year. I highlight for you some of the features of which we released since Magnolia 5.6. I give you some new stuff that is Magnolias 6.0 and then maybe some outlook for the future. But then I look at it and I thought like, it's really boring, right? Let's scratch that, let's forget about that thing. And let's do something else instead. You're all professionals, right? You are all very skilled people. You for sure did your homework. You know everything that we released since Magnolia 5.6. You know what to expect, so we don't need to do that. And instead of that, I will tell you actually something else. But before we move to something else, can you just prove me right, please? Can somebody shout some of the features, some of the new things that we released since Magnolia 5.6, some of the things that are new this year? Anything? Just shout.
Content types.
Content types, okay, very good. Anything else?
Find bar.
Find bar, that's 6.0, but okay, I count it as well. Anything else?
GDPR.
Sorry?
GDPR. GDPR compliance module.
Yeah, data APIs, data privacy APIs, GDPR, yes. Anything else? Tagging of the assets or tagging of everything actually, yeah, excellent. Anything? Last chance? Stories up. That was already before 5.6. But if you discovered it only since 5.6, yeah, excellent as well. I'm glad that you discovered and that you use it. It's there, and I think it deserves a lot of love, and there is a lot of potential for the stories up. So yes, please use it. Here is actually a list of my personal favorites. Some of the things, if you know about them, good for you. If you don't know about them, well, think about yourself, think hard. Maybe it's time for you to go back little bit, watch all the release walkthroughs that we do, read the release notes again, do the homework, learn about those features, and learn how you can use them and how you can make better of them. So those are the things which we did. And what I will tell you instead is, I tell you the Magnolias Six Story. It's the stuff which is not written anywhere, it's not published anywhere, we don't blog about it. It's the stuff which was happening behind the scene, the things which were done inside of Magnolia or which were not done inside of Magnolia that actually led in the end to the product that we are releasing to you today, to Magnolia 6 with all the bells and whistles. And let's see how it was actually made and what we started with. The whole story actually started already last year when we released Magnolia 5.6, or actually even before. The product management team was already looking at the market needs, where the market is heading, what the analysts predict that the people will need from the CMS in 2018. We were also interviewing a number of you customers, developers, partners, asking you about what is your pain point, what is it that you need to have solved in the CMS, what can make your life easier. And that's when we built something, let's call it Plan 1. By end of the last year, when we released Magnolia 5.6, we already knew what we want to do. And it looked great, lots of features, lots of nice things, but it was not meant to be. The new year came and we discovered the new pain, the thing which was really bugging us, which became suddenly this big elephant in the room, and we had to look at it. And that thing was actually the UI of Magnolia 5 series. It was getting older, and some things, like, I don't know, whiskey, when they get older, they mature very well, they grew better, right? Well, that was not to be with Magnolia 5.x user interface. It became obvious that when people look at it, they start thinking like, oh, it's becoming aged, but not in a good way, in a way that it's becoming obsolete or it's becoming pain to use. And what we saw is it's the UI, first of all, it's the first thing that you see of Magnolia. So if you go in a sales pitch, if you present somebody that product and that's the first thing they see and they don't like it already, it's very hard to convince them that this is the product they want to use. That's one thing. The other thing that we knew is that if you have to work with the product every day and you don't like the UI, sooner or later you will switch to something else, you will stop using it. And obviously there are also lots of technical things behind all the libraries, all the things that we are using are moving ahead. And we needed to move ahead as well. So in the end, we basically swallowed this bullet and said, okay, let's rewrite the plan and let's change to something else. Let's do something else. Let's take care of this UI. And just to give you an impression of the size of this task, it was January. We decided to redo the UI completely. We didn't have a single sketch of it. We didn't know how it will look like. Because of that, we didn't know exactly how much effort we'll have to go in it. What will it mean for us? How much work we need to do on the background? What do we need to change? How many libraries we need to redo? Does the UI framework still fit? Or do we need to change it? A lot of things were unknown at the time. The only thing which we knew is that we were still committed to deliver the new version, new UI, by end of November 2018. So that was where we standed. But we said, okay, let's do this, let's accept this challenge, let's try to outdo ourselves and do something special. Well, to make it even better, the January 16th came. Do you know what happened on January 16th? Anybody? Somebody's birthday for sure, but something else as well? Nobody? Okay, well, on January 16, Oracle finally managed to get it right. On a fourth attempt, they released Java 9.04 and they called it a final Java 9. And what it meant for us was that you, as the users of Magnolia, would be soon asking, hey, does Magnolia run on Java 9? Is it part of the supported stack? And typically, we update supported stack only between the major versions. We don't do it on minor versions just to keep the thing stable for you, make it easy to understand the stack on which you are supposed to run. And so what do we do here? Do we make you wait until November? Or do we do something else? And basically what we decided then was that, okay, we accept the challenge, we take Java 9, and we add this into the plan. We add support for Java 9 into the thing, and we rewrote the plans again. And what we came up with, together with the other features that we wanted to work on, is that we decided we will release Magnolia 5.7 in June. So not only we had this very challenging plan already for doing the new UI, we also challenge ourselves even more by adding yet another major release into the mix and doing the extra thing. So with that thing, we started working. We already were working hard on Magnolia 6.0, on the new UI. Here you see some very early sketches, which were not so far away from how the 5x interface looked like. So, but it was just a first attempt. What we also did is we really set and we're working on the product ever since. That was the last rewrite of the plan. We knew what we want to do. We had 2 big targets set for the year, and we were working on those. When the May came, around May, it became obvious that we need to, well, it became obvious much earlier that we need to rework the UI framework for the new UI. But what became obvious in May was the fact that the work on the UI framework is not going as fast as expected, and it's actually much bigger than what originally thought. So we decided we are not really able to fulfill our original idea of releasing the UI framework as part of 5.7. We will do it only afterwards. But all the other things still stay for the 5.7. And when the June, and yeah, we had also more UIs. I don't know how it shows on the screen, whether you see it, but it had very nice pinkish undertone. I was thinking it would make for the great merchandise later if we stick to that. It would be very funny with all the developers getting, say, pink hoodies, right? You would love it. But yeah, the June came, we released Magnolia 5.7. We managed to succeed with that thing. We did deliver what we promised there. So Java 9 support was out there in the certified stack just around the time when you were ready to deploy Magnolia on Java 9 in production. So that was well met. Also, all the data privacy APIs that we did, all the work that we added there, where sometimes we had to supplement also some lacking APIs from some other software that we integrate where they were not ready. So we provide you with all the visitor management, cookie management, and whatnot, all the set of the privacy APIs that you can use. I hope you make use of them. I hope you use that to simplify your work. I was looking recently at some report by Zurich Insurance saying that the cyber insurance is going up by 300%. All the companies insuring themselves against the threats from the lawsuits for not being compliant with GDPR. So please be compliant, use those APIs. And another exciting thing which happened in the June was that we finally got to the point where we had the final version of the UI sketches, where we knew exactly how we want Magnolia 6.0 to look like, where we had most of the visuals finished, and we were basically ready to come up with the firm plan, set up the things, and start really looking tightly on whether we can make for the deadline, which was in November, somewhere around here, or whether we are actually already behind the plan. We started with some 850 story points. That's not to say that that's all that went into 6.0. There is much more, but at that point, we knew there is remaining 850 story points that we need to work on, and we just set to work. Now, as it unveiled, and before I actually go into the story itself, everybody understands what the chart means? Who understands? 1, 2, okay, fair enough. So if you look at the purple line here on top, that's the total amount of the story points that we said makes this product. As I said, there was more, but from the June, that was the remaining story points that we needed to work on. The red line here shows you how we are burning down the story points. So at any given point, say by 33rd of July, there was about, I don't know, 600 roughly, which was remaining to be done. If you look at the black line, the black line actually tells you how many story points we are burning. We ran on 2-week sprint, so that was end of the third sprint. We had 270 story points delivered towards the 6.0 target. The dotted line was actually the projection. And that projection, you know, was meeting actually somewhere here. If that line stayed straight, by end of October, beginning of November, we were done with some safety margin. But as you can see, something was happening. We were not delivering as fast as we expected from the middle of the July. Well, what happened was that in Magnolia, just like everywhere else, people like to take the summer holidays, right? And even more than what we planned or what we expected in the plan. So we were getting slightly behind, and already we had to optimize the target. So what happened was we basically look at the plan, at what we want to deliver, and decided to downscale slightly on the content types in order to secure and to be sure that we can deliver on target. As the things unveiled and we continued further, came the second blow to the plan. this time the plan was striking back, or the Magnolia 6 was striking back. We realized there were some things that we need to add extra, some things that maybe we forgot in the plan originally, some things that need more love and more attention, so we had to revisit some of the work that was being done and improve it. So the plan was growing. We got up from some 850 story points up to almost 1100. Oops. So at that time, we had to basically look at the things again, reassess what we can do, and we decided to downscale the work on the UI framework a little bit as well. It was already at the stage where it was very helpful for us, where it was allowing us to deliver the UI experience for the 6.0. We still had some more improvements that we wanted to do, but those improvements unfortunately have to wait until after 6.0. But with that, we still managed to secure the target and keep moving. So the next milestone, which I like to mention, is actually October. What was special about October was by that time, we had for the first time in our hands something tangible. We got Magnolia 6 built, that we could run on the computer, that we could test with all the new UI and all the things together. It was the first time when we were able to see the product as it would be, where we could create this holistic view of the whole thing, where we could verify whether the ideas which were before just on the drawing board are actually working in practice. And if not, well, we would have to go again to the drawing board, scratch the release, and start again. Fortunately for us, fortunately for you all, it worked out, and we managed to actually deliver on the idea. Everything clicked, thanks to the great work from the UX team, from the developers, from the PM, from everybody. We managed to deliver the great thing, and it was coming together. We still had some things to do, some polishing, some finishing up, and so on. But as it came to the end, we managed the black line cross the purple one. We burned down everything down to 0, and we managed to build and deliver Magnolia 6, which is great. Now, coming back to the green line, that was one thing which I was ignoring before. And the green line here, or the difference between the green and black, tells you all the things which we were working on still, which were not related to 6.0. We were not working just on the 6.0, you know, we didn't drop ball on everything else just to deliver the 6.0. Yes, it was a big challenge, that was the stuff that we wanted to do, but there was still plenty of other things like maintenance, support-related tickets, like security-related tickets, some consulting, some of the prototypes that we had to do, and so on. So all those other things were actually what we worked on in parallel to 6.0. And without the great effort, without actually everybody doing their best, this thing would not happen. So I would ask you to do one extra thing. I hope I didn't put you to sleep. If I did, wake up. Please stand up, everybody, now. Please, please, please. Thank you very much. And I would really like to thank all the developers, all the PMs, all the POs, all the UX, everybody in Magnolia who made this release happen. And I would ask you to give them a round of applause. Thank you, everybody. You can sit down again. At least you are awake now. So. My thank you again to everybody, because if not for them, if not for their effort, for their extra hours, I would not be standing here, I would not be telling you this story. So I'm really happy about what we did. And now let's look at what it is. As you can see, it's very Snow White-like. It's very bright, it's very clean, it's very timeless design, I would say, I hope. Let's see in 5 years whether it's really timeless. The other thing which you can notice is that despite the modernized look, despite the fact that it's brand new, you don't really need to retrain yourself. You should be already very familiar with the UI, and the skills that you have, the usage that you have, the knowledge that your users have from previous versions of Magnolia should transfer very easily to the new one, and they should be there like feeling very at home and very comfortable. Another thing which is great about this new UI is that it really brings up your assets, you know, it lets them shine. It's not the Magnolia asset that is shining in your screen, it's your things there which are made more visible, more prominent, more accessible. and catch your eye. Another thing which is great in Magnolia 6 and which I would like to spend some time on is this new suggestions or new find bar feature that we added. If you tried Magnolia 6, you would have already encountered it. That's the first thing you see after you log in. And what it does and what's so great about it is that it actually is this big brother which is watching you, which is observing what you are doing, which is not insinuating, but really trying to see what you do and trying to be helpful. So next time when you come to Magnolia, it will look at what you did or what you are doing often, and it will suggest that to you as the first actions. It will also look at overall experience. It's not related or limited to one app or one asset or one type of the story, etc. It is really going all over about Magnolia, looking what you are doing, how you are using the product, and trying to help you to use it more effectively by making shortcuts for you on the go and by adapting to your usage patterns over time, because everybody's usage patterns change. Another thing which we took a snap at was the search bar, or the ability of searching and actually refining the search in Magnolia. If you use search bar in Magnolia 5 in the apps, it was limited to each single app, and it left a lot to be desired. So there were a couple of attempts to improve it, but none of them really worked great. But what did work, or what we did, is we actually took a big snap at it and we rewrote it completely. We made it all encompassing, again going over all of Magnolia, allowing you to narrow down the search results whichever way by multiple parameters you can have, or allowing you to expand it up all over Magnolia. Overall, we tried to modernize the UI and try to make it easier to use, try to make it more pleasant for the editors to work on the daily basis. So hopefully everybody will enjoy it and you will enjoy it too, even if you're not working on history of broccoli. And obviously the other thing that we kept was the capabilities of Magnolia to integrate with everything. We just didn't touch that. It's still there. It's still working the same way. And you can still connect Magnolia to whatever you have or whatever you are thinking about. And that's basically Magnolia 6 in all its beauty. Any of you tried already? Yes? How many? Hands up. Okay, 1/3, maybe 1/2. Cool. Let me try that as well. Let's see if I can do Magnolia and if we can have some live demo. So, as you see, when you log in, or when you actually get to Magnolia, you see this beautiful login screen that makes you think you are somewhere in the snow. Super user. There we go, excellent. And as you can see here already, this thing knows about me trying to rehearse this demo up front, and it's showing you the things that we will be searching for. What I want to show you is today, in this demo, my alter ego. So imagine I'm this girl, Enrica, and I work for Magnolia Travels. That's my second job, because I need a second job as a CTO of Magnolia. And what I do is actually I write the travel travel posts or the articles for this travel agency. And this time I just came back from Asia, from the another trip I had there, and I know I wrote this story about Asia a while ago, and basically what I need to do now is I need to update that story. So I know that story was something about Asia, right? So I just type in Asia, and then I can see already here the third result is actually what I was looking for. Excellent. Or maybe I don't actually even remember how that story was called, so what could I do? Let's see, I know it was a story that I wrote, and I know that that story was written by me, and yeah, because of that, I can actually limit the search down and find out what it is, what I'm searching for, right? So that's yet another way of how I can limit the things. Or yet another way is I can just say, okay, it's somewhere in stories, bingo, there is a Stories app. I can just open a Stories app, and in there I can search for the application. Or what I can do is, because I'm a former developer, I can also just use the command line and just tell Magnolia to open the Stories app for me, and it will do so. It will happily oblige. Also, because we all like to talk to our interfaces, what I can try to do, and let's see if the demo works, is open Stories app. And it's thinking, and it's not liking me. Is the internet working? Okay, well, normally I should be able to do it, but not today. Sorry, worked just before the keynote. You can try for yourself, give it a go. Works only in Chrome, actually not in Safari, but give it a go, try it out, and see what you can do. So, and obviously, not to forget, there is one extra way how I can get to my stories. I can just open the app launcher. You will see all the icons. You will see everything as it is. If you are familiar with Magnolia 5 app launcher, it's the same thing, just the other way around. Instead of having white icons on the green background, you have green icons on the white background. Some icons might look a bit different, some might look more flashy, but you should still be able to find your things around. So that's the Stories app that I'm searching for, and I'm in there. I open my story. As you can see, there is, it's still the same Stories app if you are using the Stories app. If you are one of the people who discovered that there is a Stories app in Magnolia and you can write stories in there. There is some extra information. You can also find the information about my alter ego and how I fancy yourself looking. You can also do all the editing there as before. I can start typing any kind of the content. You see that I have still the capabilities to adjust the content. What is rather new there is the possibility to actually move the things up and down just by clicking the icon. You don't need to search for the magic shortcuts and remember what those key codes are and how to use them. I can also very easily delete things, etc. If I want to add the blocks, again, looks nicer, but functionally it's not really different. I can also choose to add the different blocks. From here, let's see, what I discovered last week in Asia is that they have really this great Beijing duck. And do I have anything for the duck? I don't. Do I have any restaurants? I don't have this either. Let's see, then let's add something. Assets. Oops, I'm still in the Stories app. Now I open the asset app, and what I will do is I will upload one of the pictures that I took recently. I would believe it's this one. There is really great Beijing duck in this restaurant in Singapore. If you haven't tried, you gotta go there and you have to try it out. It's really great. What's happening is now I'm uploading the image. The other thing which I'm doing or which is happening is, and yeah, we see it here already, the image is being sent over to the AI and it looks at the content of the image and it automatically tags the image for me. So I have all those great tags here. It sees that it's something roasted. It sees that the picture was taken in the restaurant. Great. Now I can use it. So let's go back to my image. And again, well, the image is on top, but really what I want to show you is that if I just type and if I look for the keyword, by that keyword I can find it. By this tag I can find the image. So I don't need to remember where it's located. If somebody, say, if it was not me uploading the image, but a colleague of mine in different department, they just give me the tag or I just look at the tags which I have in the article. I look for the similar thing and I can just get it. I can put it in and I can also just save and publish my article. That's yet another shortcut, and I would encourage you to basically try and use the capability of the Stories app to allow you to execute the actions while keeping the story open. This is very useful if you're writing things like, say, media stories and you need to keep publishing it every couple of seconds. Say you are describing some soccer match which is happening and you want to keep going, etc. It is really very useful. Let's get back to the presentation for a few more minutes. Let's see if I still have my shortcut. So live demo, yes, we had that. I hope you liked the demo. The demo was showing you the UI, but obviously there is a lot of things which are under the UI, under the hood, that are not so easy to show. For those, I have just one example. Anybody likes the diagram? Looks familiar? That's the UI framework as it was, or as it is in Magnolia 5X. You see, it looks rather complicated, always reminds me some really, I don't know, power station or wiring in Boeing, or I don't know. But what we did and what we had to do is we had to simplify it. We took a stab at it, we looked at the usage pattern, we look how you people use it, how we use it ourselves, what are the things that are always being used together, what are the layers of abstractions which you don't need because you never override them, etc. And we basically really took the stab at it and rewrote it and made it simpler, made it easier to use, which hopefully will result in more capabilities, more abilities for you to actually extend the UI to build the nicer custom apps, and also, more importantly, to build them faster and still not to lose a track in them. Another great thing which came, apart from all the UI and all the AI that is in the UI, another thing which came in the Magnolia 6, which is great there, is the content types. And again, it's not something which is easy to show. So instead of showing you, I have a sort of quest or a poll for you. If you ever created app in Magnolia using the YAML, using the configuration, on average, how many lines would you think you need to use to write to create a content app? 300? YAML? 150? Anybody else? 200? Any other number? Well, okay, let's just move on. On average, you need almost 700 lines of YAML configuration file to write to get the normal content up with all the actions and all the stuff. How many lines do you think you need with the content types and with the new content model? 10, 20, 2? Yeah, keep dreaming. 15? 50 or 15? 50, 50. Okay, anybody else? 200, yeah. Well, it's actually pretty amazing. You only need 14 lines. So, and not only it's 650 lines of the YAML configuration less to write, it's also 650 lines of where you could make a mistake less, you know. And if you have to search for mistakes in 14 lines or in 700 lines, I tell you 14 is much easier. Believe me, been there, done this. Anyhow, with all Magnolia 6 and with all that was happening this year, I would also like to show this and show you some of the new brands, new names. Obviously, there is much more. I just picked those as the biggest ones. Maybe if you are trying to describe Magnolia to somebody tomorrow, you can remember one of those logos. Maybe they are actually the well-known names in your area. Maybe they are well known to your customer, and maybe it's enough to just tell this customer, you know what, Magnolia is this CMS that it's powering website of one of those. So, and again, there is much more. It's just a highlight, and it's just the new names for this year. Big, nice new names. And obviously, yeah, it's great that those people are using Magnolia, but it's not just us. It's not us who did it. It's actually your success. All of you, you contributed to the fact that we are able to have those clients. You developers who develop those websites, you are the ones who is convincing those companies to do this, to go with Magnolia and to use us in production. So now comes time for another exercise. Please get up. And this time, please give a round of applause to yourself, because without you, it would not be possible. Thank you. Thank you for making Magnolia successful. You can sit down. Originally, I wanted to do a yoga session instead of Keynote, but they said no, it has to be about the code, so That's at least my revenge to get you moving around. I promise you some financial update at the beginning. If you are a freak numbers, here are some numbers for you. Suffice to say, it was a very good year for us. It was a very good year for business. And again, thank you very much for making that happen. I hope it was a very good year for you as well, that you managed to grow with Magnolia, just as we managed to grow with you. And yeah, okay, last bit. What to expect from us in 2019. That guy's supposed to be me, except I don't have such a big nose, I hope. But what to expect in 2019? As you know, we don't publish the exact roadmap. We don't give a dates. We don't give the quarterly targets, etc. What we do instead is we tell you what we want to develop. We try to listen to you. And we try to adapt the things as the market changes. As you have seen from the story before, we are actually trying to be open and always ready to accept new challenges, and we adjust our plans to fulfill the needs that you have that are currently the biggest one for you. So what you see here is something that we are currently considering for doing next year. Some of those things I'm pretty sure you will see delivered next year. First thing is the final version of the UI framework and content types, all the things that we had to postpone until after release. That's what we are actually already working on, and that's the first thing that you will see from us. Some of the things mentioned here you will see as well throughout the year. Some of the things you will see at least being planned or started on. And some of those things maybe you will see on the roadmap next year. C'est la vie. And with that, I'm actually done. I hope I'm done still roughly on time. And we have time for some questions, if you have any questions. Or we can do more exercises if you want. So, questions?
So yeah, we have a question coming in on Slido. So will the height of the browser app lines be made smaller to get a better overview of the data inside?
I would say almost certainly yes. As always with the new UI, we deliver the UI, we test it for ourselves, and there will be rounds of adjustments to that UI. And I believe the height of the line is one of the things which is already high on the list of the priorities, so yes.
Okay, this is the second most asked question. Will there be a dark mode for Magnolia 6?
You're not first to ask, and I would say wait for it. Wait and see. In the meantime, you have plenty of browser plugins or OS plugins which allows you to switch it to the dark mode, but wait and see.
So I want to open it up to the room. We have time for a few questions. This is a mic. You ready?
Oh, please, can I throw it next time?
Is it working?
Possible to show the app launcher as first view after the login, because people don't get the search results list.
You want the app launcher just after login? I'm pretty sure it's possible. Don't ask me how to do it right now. I wouldn't know, but I'm pretty sure it would be possible. It should have its own location, so you should be able to show it.
Okay, we have time for another question.
What are the plans to add the experiments or Magnolia extensions into the product?
Extensions, well, if you looked at one of the things that I was mentioning there as a highlights between 5.6 and now, I mentioned there the add-ons, and the experiments are one of the add-ons that we have, and they are already available, so you can just contact your Magnolia representative and you should be able to get it, and you should be able to try it out and install it and have a support for it. And we plan to do, there was on the roadmap slide, there was actually something about marketing, automation, and about improving the insights into Magnolia, working with analytics, and that falls all into the same area under the same team. So yes, we are planning to improve on that as well.
Last question.
Actually, before the last question, I have one question which was not asked and which I think is actually interesting for all of you. You've seen that new Magnolia look, right? It looks nice, but the question you should be asking yourself is, you know, how much work does it take me to get my own apps, to get my own configuration on Magnolia 6? And there, I'm very happy to say that you should be able to just take your modules, even not recompile them, and just throw them in. If they're running on 5.6 or 5.7, they should be current enough for you to just throw them in, just put them in webinlib, start up Magnolia, and run on Magnolia 6. It will be still all your old apps, but with all brand new UI. We take care of it. So please take it, use it, do it. And there was the question over there.
Do you plan on integrating mobile support for the UI?
For the UI, as you know, Magnolia 5 had the mobile support from the beginning. At a certain point, we stopped really working hard on it because it was taking too much effort and very few people were using it. Today, if you look at the mobile, the screen estate on the mobile is so big that most of the time you are able to... Actually, I was playing with the Magnolia 6 UI on the cell phone without having to have anything special for the mobile. I believe except for the combo boxes, it was working all great. Combo boxes, if they got too long, then that was slightly unpleasant, but there are not that many things that need to be changed. We will obviously consider it, but it all depends on the usage. It all depends on the needs. We, unfortunately, are not the multi-billion company which has unlimited resources, and we need to focus on the things that where we spend the effort. So if there is a need, if there is interest, if people start using Magnolia predominantly or at least significantly on the mobile devices, then yes, we will look and make sure that the mobile experience is not subpar compared to the desktop experience. But until there is this demand, it will always stay on the fringe. So we will make sure that it's not completely broken, but it would not be experience to be desired. Let's put it that way.
All right, everybody. Big thank you to Jan for the talk.
Thanks for having me here. Thank you.